Hello, folks. I think we're live here. Welcome to Pro Trader Strategies. My name's Eric Wilkinson, and this is Spotting the Trade. So before you go, I'm going to tell you what you need to know. And if you want to get that live, make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe button. Next to it, there's a little bell that will let you know when I pop in here unannounced. That bell is key to knowing when I'm coming on live, folks. So make sure you guys have that selected as well. Comment throughout the video. I'm going to make sure I'm keeping my eye out over there to see if you guys have any questions, comments, or anything else. You guys will drive this content, so make sure you guys are commenting away, all right? So before we get started, I usually talk about the economic data. It is a Monday, and there's not a whole lot to talk about in regards to economic data. The one thing that's really driving the markets right now is just the talk in and around the talking heads of the economy. One thing that we saw earlier today, let's get on with just shutting the markets because there's not really a whole lot to talk about with regards to economic data. You can see here crude oil after Friday having or this is actually the NASDAQ, continuing to see some weakness here. Yes, Friday, I should say, we settled above the 50-day simple moving average. Now, over in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, I've talked about the 50-day simple moving average isn't going to act as much of a support and resistance metric as normal, like we are seeing here in the NASDAQ. It will act as a support area because the Dow Jones is lined up with the point of control, which we'll see here in a moment. We've got the Dow Jones moving higher. This is what I was talking about with it's the 200-day simple moving average right here, lining up with the point of control. That will act the point of control, I should say here, will act as more of a magnet than what we're going to see probably in the rest of the market. Let's make sure I got my pen. Whoa, that is a pen, all right. Sorry, folks. Point of control. The point of control there. This little line right here is where we're talking about. That's where time and volume has been spent. That's where the market has accepted value. So when we've accepted value at a certain level, something like a support and resistance, that's typically going to be an area of interest for us. Not so much here when it's the point of control, because that's where the market will start to want to settle down there. Sorry, it sounds like we have some folks showing up to the door this early in the morning. All right, so let's move on. All right, Bitcoin, I wanted to talk about it because we started seeing some weakness in this market on Friday, follow through, because this market opened up on Saturday. We started seeing some massive selling. Now, we're not really hearing exactly what this is about, other than it is a liquidity play where folks are pulling money out of just about everywhere and kind of stockpiling that money heading into the end of the year. I think that's what we're seeing here with Bitcoin. Keep in mind that 50% of the volume, or 50% of the participants right now, have just entered the market for the cryptocurrency like Bitcoin in the last 12 months. So one of the things we would talk about is those are some of the weaker hands. Those guys could be starting to dump rather early here. And that's why we're seeing down another 10% here in Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies in general having a little bit of weakness. While we're seeing the gold futures, now this is where I've talked about, folks, gold futures are going to be a retainer of value because it's just a historical retainer of value, probably more so than what we're going to see with the cryptocurrencies. Just because some of the major institutional money will drive this market, and holding up around 1800 is where I've expected. Now, again, we've got a Fibonacci lining up with the point of control in this market as well. Point of control, same situation here. Time and volume has been spent there. It's right around 1800. That's why it's keyed in on that number so much. But this Fibonacci right there is lining up, and folks might be looking at that as a support and resistance. I don't think it's going to act as a support and resistance like it has in the past. Why? Because we've created that point of control. That's where the time and volume's been spent. So folks are going to just allow that to feather back and forth in and around that 1800 mark there. 1780 is where the real point of control is right now. And that's why this market will peel back and forth between that Fibonacci there. So don't really give too much credence to that Fibonacci there. All right, dogs want to come in and check out the video. Bonds are going to continue to push higher as we're seeing weakness in equities. Crude oil right now, all my charts are all over the place right now. Crude oil right back down to the point of control at 65. We'd like to see these prices come off before we see that $100. And I think we will, especially with the way that the economy is shaping up. Seems a little bit iffy or a little bit dicey right now. E-mini S&Ps haven't decided where they want to go. Right in the middle of Friday's range there, and no real discernible direction. We've had some markets selling off and really reactionary towards everything that's going on. So I think that we're going to see this volatility continue, folks, because of people just really taking profits heading into the end of the year here. That's where we're going to see some markets sell off. We could be seeing that in Bitcoin as folks are starting to book profits, get rid of some of the bad trades that they've had, offset those with some of the good ones, maybe even just take the bad trades off so that they can have that as a write-off against some of their other gains as well. Starting to see some weakness here as the day starts to move into full swing here. Now, with these VIX volatility continues to rise in here. I've gotten short some puts in here to be cash secured. So if it goes down to my level, that's where I'm looking to get filled, and that's at 185. So we've gone down there, tested that 190 area a few times, but volatility is expanding. But remember, I'm in the December, so this theta is really helping me out here, despite the fact that I had the directionality move wrong. Volatility kind of offsetting some of my gains right now. But these next few days, this theta is really going to start getting aggressive. I expect some of this volatility to start coming out, and I'll be able to cover this trade relatively soon. But right now, it's a winner, but just that volatility expanding has made those premiums incrementally increase here, despite the fact that we are slightly moving up and away from my strike location. I just wanted to talk about that because of all the levers and pulleys we talk about. This is one of those where directionality finally starting to go in my direction, but being offset mostly in part to that volatility expansion. So I'm not really too worried about this trade. I'd be more than happy to get in to Visa at around 185. We talked about this because of this sell-off coming right back down to the level where we consolidated after the original pandemic struck. We got a little bit of a rally there. That's where we consolidated. That's where the point of control is. So that's where I'm going to be looking to hang on there. Now with PEN, the gaming stocks, this whole Omni variant is really throwing a kink in these gambling stocks. A lot of folks talking about these guys kept carrying a lot of debt load with their advertising and just not getting this reopening trade like they were expecting. But I'm staying with this PEN trade in my portfolio. I think that this reopen trade is going to do very well going forward. So right now we're already starting to see Las Vegas Sands make some moves here to the upside after yesterday's or Friday's sell-off. That's about it, folks. I'm just keeping an eye on my portfolio right now. Might shore some things up. So make sure you guys have that subscribe and that little bell right next to it, because that's the only way to know when I come in, pop in here unannounced, talking about trades. All right. So, and smash that like button as well. All right. If you can't take, that was a weak one. If you can't take that, take it easy.